Most people assume something is wrong with you if you prefer being alone. You must be shy, you must be depressed, you must have trouble connecting with people. But what if none of that is true? What if some people genuinely, deeply enjoy solitude? Not because they can't handle people, but because their brain is actually built differently. Today we're going into the psychology of people who enjoy being alone, and what the science says might completely change how you see them or yourself. The first thing you need to understand is the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is wanting connection and not having it. Solitude is choosing to be alone and feeling completely fine, sometimes even better, because of it. These are not the same thing, not even close. People who enjoy being alone aren't lonely. They're not waiting for someone to save them from the silence. They chose the silence. And in that silence, something happens in their brain that doesn't happen anywhere else. Here's the science. Researchers have found that people who enjoy solitude tend to have a higher baseline of something called dopamine sensitivity. Their brain doesn't need as much external stimulation to feel rewarded. A conversation, a party, a crowded room. For most people, that's fuel. For them, it's noise. They get their dopamine from within, from thinking, from creating, from just existing quietly without the world demanding something from them every 5 seconds. This is also why introverts, and people who enjoy solitude, often are introverts, feel drained after social situations even when they had a good time. It's not that they hated it, it's that their nervous system was working overtime the entire time just to process everything happening around them. Being alone isn't them giving up, it's them recharging. But here's what nobody talks about. People who enjoy being alone are often some of the most self-aware people you'll ever meet. When you spend time alone, you spend time with your own thoughts. You can't distract yourself with other people's energy. You're forced to sit with yourself, your fears, your patterns, your unresolved things. Most people run from that. People who enjoy solitude run toward it. Psychologists call this capacity for self-reflection, and studies consistently show that people high in this trait have better emotional regulation, stronger decision-making, and a clearer sense of who they actually are versus who other people want them to be. They know themselves, because they've spent time getting to know themselves. There's also something called the default mode network, and if you watched our last video, you already know what this is. It's the brain system that activates when you stop taking in external input. When you stop scrolling, stop talking, stop consuming. For most people, being alone activates this network and it feels uncomfortable, anxious, like something is wrong. But for people who genuinely enjoy solitude, the default mode network isn't a source of dread. It's a source of creativity, clarity, and deep thought. Some of the greatest thinkers, writers, and artists in history weren't antisocial. They were pro-solitude. They understood that their best thinking happened when the world went quiet. Newton developed his theory of gravity during a plague lockdown, alone. Nikola Tesla spent enormous amounts of time in isolation. Kafka wrote almost entirely in solitude late at night. Solitude wasn't their weakness, it was their laboratory. Now, does enjoying being alone mean you don't need people at all? No. Even the most solitude-loving person needs connection. The difference is they need it in smaller doses, with the right people, in the right depth. They'd rather have one real conversation than 10 shallow ones. They'd rather stay home than go to a party where nobody says anything that actually matters. It's not that they hate people, it's that they have a very low tolerance for meaningless interaction and a very high hunger for depth. If this sounds like you, someone who loves being alone, who finds crowds exhausting, who does their best thinking in silence, you're not broken. Your brain is just tuned to a different frequency, and in a world that never stops making noise, that frequency is rarer than people think. See you in the next one. You in.